Welcome back, everyone. Sheepdog Smokey here, and this is something I've known and called out for many years. Famous people really want to kill more babies. There's not a whole lot of sugarcoating something like this. From Alyssa Milano. I will be supporting the women of Georgia as we stand in solidarity for all women's rights and hand deliver the below letter to Brian Kemp at 5 p.m. EST this evening. I will broadcast live here on Twitter. We won't go back. What the letter says for you in too long didn't read crowd is that a bunch of actors are going to leave Georgia if the promised or proposed pro-life legislation HB 481 becomes law. You can read more about that there. I will be linking the article. It's the heartbeat bill, banning abortion after a detectable heartbeat in an unborn child. When you listen to the pro-death crowd, you hear them say things about how unfair it is because most women don't even know they're pregnant when a heartbeat is detectable. But what they're admitting without realizing it is they support killing a living human being who has a heartbeat. They've ceded that ground. The science is against them. And that's why they're throwing a big old fit. They're losing this battle and people are waking up to the truth about abortion of innocent human beings with a heartbeat. This, the same crowd that gets mad anytime you kill a fish, but they're fine with killing babies. So go ahead, famous people, take your pro-death views elsewhere. Go to California or New York where your views will be welcome. Just two things I ask. Don't let the door hit you, and if you're going to use your pro-death views to try to hold economies hostage, then stay the heck out of Texas too. Got to admit, I don't know who Jess Fields is, but I'm gonna start reading more of his stuff. It's very clear. Medical doctor after medical doctor, and these include OBGYNs and just surgeons and general practitioners, have said many times over the years that they know of no situation where aborting a child is necessary to save the mother's life. They know of no situation where aborting a child is necessary to save the mother's life. No one I know, and I include some extremely conservative people, these people make me look liberal. Even they agree that if a medical doctor says, here's the choice, both of them die or I can save the mother, every one of them in a heartbeat goes, save the mother. Because if you're presented with a choice of two people die or only one, I'm going to save the person I can save. And that is a decision for a medical doctor, not an abortionist who gets a check from Planned Parenthood that gets bigger the more they do. There are videos on YouTube of former abortion providers talking about the procedure where they describe in graphic detail that they dismember the child and yank pieces out. I'm not going to go further than that because I honestly don't want to put you through it. If you don't mind, you can find it on YouTube. But this is honestly the height of hypocrisy. Alyssa Milano and her crowd of followers who they're either the hoi polloi of Hollywood that wouldn't be fired from a movie if they'd murdered someone in plain sight, or they're the Milanos of the world that haven't actually been employed doing anything that anyone knows about for many years. The last thing I remember Alyssa Milano being in, Charmed. Yeah, that long ago. I'm sure she's probably done something since, but it got so much press that I don't know if anyone who heard about it. I believe there was a Netflix series or something. I don't know. But these are the people who scream about foreign interference in elections and then admit, well, I don't live in Georgia. I'm not allowed to vote here, but you're going to do what I want, not what your people want. Thankfully, Brian Kemp has more spine than they will ever have collectively. He stood up and he said, I'm going to do what the people of Georgia want me to do, and that is sign this bill. The state of Georgia will do just fine without all of these idiots pushing their views on Georgians. And I'm with Jess here. Stay out of Texas. We have a small little production area in the Dallas area. I believe it's still in Las Colinas, I don't know, that produced the likes of Walker, Texas Ranger. And there have been other things shot here. The Hulu series 11/22/63 was shot in Dallas near Dealey Plaza and other things. But you know what? I bet the city of Dallas and the state of Texas could get along just fine without all that Hollywood money. Because you know what we're not going to be doing if we're not receiving it? We're not going to be shutting down streets so that you can film a car chase. We're not going to be using land that could be used for agriculture or sold as housing or any other things because you need a huge open field so that none of the unwashed peasantry get near you while you're filming. Are you getting my gist? I don't care one whit what Hollywood thinks. There are very few people in Hollywood that I actually agree with, and I would bet 90% of them are no longer working. James Woods, Chuck Woolery, Clint Eastwood, to name a few. Eastwood, Woods, Woolery, they don't need to work. James Woods actually said how he is very sure he's not going to suffer economically. You can do a deep dive on his Twitter to find that one if you want. But they've all been faced with the reality that Hollywood is so off the liberal deep end that anything other than total and complete obedience means you don't work in that town. Hollywood said they were going to boycott if Trump wasn't impeached. You notice they're still putting out their crap movies because they still want those paychecks. Personally, I say let them. I say we need to go back to the Hollywood of the 1980s. We need to get back to when actors just acted, athletes just played a sport, musicians just sang, as opposed to using any and every pulpit they have to tell the people paying their salaries how evil and bigoted they are. I wonder what would happen if all of a sudden a movie with Milano or Clooney or Jamie Foxx or the likes of any of them didn't make enough money to cover budget. How fast would they be? I'm sorry, we just can't work with you. How many up and coming actors are there that would jump at the chance? Yes, they're not as experienced as the George Clooney's or Clint Eastwood's or whoever's of the world. But I guarantee you they're going to bring a lot more heart and a lot more drive to be successful than the people who are now resting on their laurels. There are so many up and coming directors that you could probably replace Hollywood, but we'd get good movies instead of I'm going to remake Ghostbusters, but I'm going to switch all of them to women because we really just all we care about is making sure women look good. And when it flops, well, you evil bigoted men decided you didn't want women to look good. No, we wanted a good story. You bring back Rick Moranis, you bring back Dan Aykroyd, Bill Murray, and just have them involved. You know, have them be the retired Ghostbusters mentoring a new crew, whatever their gender may be, and it would be hilarious and a great movie, and people would flock to see it. Look at the Russos and what they're doing with Marvel. Yes, they have clearly stated that they want a female led movie, and they got it with Captain Marvel. But unfortunately, it's just a backstory. The core demographic they're targeting, all of us know her backstory. We already knew about her little pet, although they changed the name. We already knew how she got her powers. We already knew about all of the characters in that movie, be they from print or crossover from the other movies. Literally, the only part of that movie that has any direct correlation to the rest of the MCU is the cutscene. And I'm not going to spoil it. If you want to see it, see it. If you don't, don't. You can go find spoilers yourself. I told a friend of mine, because I'm building a home and I'm trying to help my nephew rebuild a car and doing other things, I'm not going to go see movies except for John Wick, which my dad wants to see, so I'm going to take him as a gift. And Endgame, which my nephew is dying to see and has made straight A's all year, so that will be his end of year reward. Going to see Endgame, we're going to Movie Tavern, we're going to have the meal, all of it. That's it, all year. Everything else if I watch, will be at a friend's house or on Netflix or whatever. And I told him this, and I said, I know the origin story. Is there anything that they changed for the movie? He said, no. Her origin is still her origin. And I said, well, what about Endgame? He said, it was the cutscene. And then I had him tell me, because I'm not going to be able to see it until it's on DVD or Netflix. But honestly, I don't even need that to be able to understand what's happening when we get to Endgame. So the Russos tried this will obey Hollywood. Yes, I'm on a tangent, I know it, but I'm going to continue down this rabbit hole. They want a Black Widow movie. Honestly, I do too. We have so little of Natasha Romanoff's backstory, other than the Red Room and little things that we got in Agent Carter on Hulu, that I want that backstory. And if they do it right, it'll be great. But you notice what they don't do. They don't obey Hollywood like Alyssa Milano wants them to. They are making movies about the Marvel Universe, which includes Iron Man, Captain America, who's a man, Thor, who's a man, Hawkeye, another guy, Vision, not human, but portrayed as male, Ant-Man, Falcon is a guy, Bucky's a guy. These are comics that were written decades ago. Really, the only female character or characters in mainstream comics back in the 80s were Black Widow, because they needed a communist to be the bad guy, and they had her, the former KGB agent, and Wonder Woman. Now we're getting more, because 30, 40 years ago and today are two different times. And you have different people writing. And this is what people like Alyssa don't care about. They don't care to even try to understand. They want obedience. They want you to praise them for being so woke that they control your life. And they're running into a phenomenon that they really should have expected. Southerners. Alyssa, honey, don't come to the South and order us around. We'll give you a kick in the butt, tell you don't let the door hit you on the butt on the way out, and then we'll tell you don't walk away mad, just walk away. We're a bit more ornery down here than I guess all of them thought. But that's likely due to the fact that for more than 50 years, California's no longer been the West. It's been Silicon Valley. It's been movies. It's been wine, with very little of what one could even equate to being anywhere near what happens in the South. And honestly, I'm not upset in one bit that they're getting this wake-up call that they can't control us. We stand up for what we believe is right. You claim to do the same thing while telling us to not stand up for what we believe is right. The governor of Georgia stood up for what his people want, and that was HB 481, the heartbeat bill. I am lobbying my governor, Greg Abbott, to do the same, and my Texas state rep and senator to get that bill to him so he can do the same. When it happens, and when Hollywood tries to bully Texas, you're going to find out real quick Georgia was not a fight at all compared to what Texas is going to put up. But I've talked long enough, and I have forced my accent out one too many times. Let me know what you think. Just keep it classy and keep it civil. As always, we don't learn from an argument. We learn from a debate. Make sure to like and subscribe and ring that notification bell so that when I finally jump down all the new rabbit holes, you'll be the first to know. Other than that, you guys have a wonderful day.